Alright guys, today I want to do another list for you, and of course it is October, so I want to do a horror comic list. And there are so many comics out there that I love, and a lot of them are horror. But, you know, I can only make so many videos, so today I'm going to choose a few comics that I think you should check out that are horror. I done one of these a long time ago, about 6-7 years ago, so you can check that one out for other recommendations. I'm not going to relist those I have on there here, so things like Lock and Key and stuff are going to be on that list. I'll link that below in case you want to watch it for more recommendations. And then I also did one with my buddy Jimmy about 3 years ago, and that was a 20 manga slash comic horror list, which we both put a bunch of things, so you might see some things on here that are not, or on there that are not on here, like Something is Killing the Children. Anyway, lippity lappity, let's get to the list that you're here for, which is spooky horror comics. So I'm going to start my number 7 with The Plot. Now this is a cool story in my opinion because it takes the haunted house approach of the overall scary part of it, but we also have the family drama because right away our main character Chase, his brother and sister-in-law are murdered, so he becomes the guardian of their children, Mackenzie and Zach, and they kind of have to form a family even though they don't really know each other that well. So it has that dynamic of kind of becoming a family or forced to become one and wanting to protect someone who is your family even if you don't know them that well. But then you get the flip side of the horror, which to me is really cool because it's a very spooky, slow burn. The house is coming alive and creatures are coming out at night. So I really did enjoy both the horror aspect and the family drama. Those are kind of my favorite things when you dive into horrors. You get two sides of it instead of just the straight up horror elements. But this is definitely worth it. It's only 2 volumes, so you get the whole story, and I think it's 100% worth picking up right now. My number 6 is going to be Maniac of New York. Now, this is a true slasher comic. There's not much to the plot, if I'm being honest. It's basically an invincible slasher who looks very much like a certain hockey mask user, and he goes around just murdering people. That's the plot. It's not very heavy. It's not deep. It's probably the least plot-heavy story on here. But what is cool about this is it's kind of a cat and mouse game because the police officer who is hunting them, or the whole police unit, but especially our main one, they are like glued to finding this sick son of a bitch and stopping him. So you do get that element of following an innocent person who's trying to stop evil, while the evil is just committing atrocious crimes like slicing people in half and their heads off, and you know, the good stuff. So if you're into slasher comics, I think you would really enjoy this. I did, but I can't say it's the best plot. Definitely not on this list, but it's definitely a fun time to be had. Coming in at number 5 is We Have Demons. So Scott Snyder really develops a story that I really enjoyed here. It's only 3 issues, so it's just 1 volume. Don't know if there's going to be more. I do hope that we get maybe 1 more, but I really enjoyed it here because you get this main character Lamb, and you start with her as like kind of like a child who eventually grows into a woman by the end. And I really liked it because you get that progression going throughout. But what it is that she thinks that her father's stories are just kind of crazy because she's a woman of science by the end of this, so she doesn't believe most of this stuff. But eventually something happens and she meets this like humongous hulking creature named Helvis, and this is really where it becomes fun because they have to go and hunt demons. So this kind of has that action slash demon slash family drama a little bit, so you got a lot of elements playing here. I think what's fun about this is it's kind of lighthearted, but you get emotional moments, which is really nice. And you also, I think, have Scott Snyder being free of DC characters for a while. This is just after he came off of DC, and he's having fun again, just going into more of his horror stuff, which is my favorite of his stuff. So I really enjoyed it for what it was. I think it's a very fun action heavy, I would say very similar to something like Supernatural in a sense of going after demons. So if you like that, I think you would really enjoy this comic, so check it out. So the next one I want to talk about is Hotel, spelled with 2 L's, by the way. That's awesome. And it's basically a mysterious hotel that's off Route 66, and it has these terrifying secrets. Basically, you get a lot of mixture here. It feels like the hotel is alive in a sense, and it is in a horrific way sometimes, but really what it is that all these stories, it's basically an anthology of different characters and what happens to them eventually all lead to this hotel, or it starts in the hotel. Whatever the means is, you get the hotel as kind of the plot device to forward these stories. And, you know, with anthologies, the best part is not every story is going to work for you. That's okay, though. Some of these stories I thought were just okay, and some I really, really loved. And that's the nice mix of it. You get some great storytelling from Lees. You get some awesome art from Talajic. I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm so sorry. But overall, I really enjoyed the look and feel of this comic, mostly because it is an anthology in the vein of something like VHS. And if you like those type of movies, I think this comic will work for you really well. It's only 2 volumes, but both volumes are definitely worth reading. Alright, now we're on to Baby Teeth. So this one is by Donny Cates, who made one of my favorite kind of horror stories just because it is simply taking Rosemary's Baby, but amplifying it and making it more bizarre and insane by the end of this story. Now, it's only about 4 volumes, I believe, or maybe 5. It's been a while since I read it, but I think it's 4 because you get 2 hardcovers. But either way, this is a really fun story because the main character, she has a baby, and the baby is a demon. Satan, really. So it sounds very much Rosemary's Baby. But I promise you, after that initial premise, the story goes so insane where hunters come in. They have a whole organization that goes after the devil. You have the demons coming into the real world. You have Lucifer. You got so much stuff that I don't want to spoil it, but I promise you this story will not go the way that you think it will go, and that's my favorite part. It's also really well done in terms of the ending. It's one of the endings that actually sticks and works and lands where I expected it and hoped to go, and it went that way, and I'm so glad. So yeah, Baby Teeth, if you want more of a bizarre, insane, little crazy twist on something like Rosemary's Baby, I can't recommend this one enough. It's great. It's completed. Go check it out. All right, and my next one is Witches. Now, this is an oldie, but a goodie. So, Witches is a really important story to me because it is the name of the main character is Sailor, who is also my daughter's name. And when my wife was reading this years ago, she loved that name, and that is why we chose Sailor. Not so much because of the character itself, but the name Sailor. So, it always is a special place in my heart. But on top of all that, I actually like this story. I think the problem with the story is the first half is so good that the second half just didn't live up to it. But either way, it's still really fun. This is a horrific fucking story. It's about a girl named Sailor who is coming to a new town with her family to get away from her past, because in her past, this bully was literally going to sexually assault her and film it and all this other disgusting stuff. But these things came out of the trees, looks like nasty vampire witches, and well, they fuck her shit up in the nicest way I can say. So, when we get to this new town, things aren't going the way we hoped. So, between Scott Snyder's excellent work on characters and family dynamic and Jock's amazing art, especially the vampire art, is just, witches. I'm saying vampire because they kind of look like vampires / witches. It's such a unique and disgusting creature look that I fucking love the design, and it's some of my favorite witch designs I've ever seen in any medium, if I'm being honest. On top of that, once you finish it, there is a one-shot that came out a few years ago that's really good as well. A totally separate story that really works to amplify the world building, and you get a brand new character that works really well to give the lore. So I can't recommend Witches enough. I think it's a really fun story. It's not the best second half, but that's okay because it's still stuck with me 10 years later. It's very much worth reading, and it's 1 volume, and then you can pick up the one-shot if you like. And there's going to be a TV show, I hear, so definitely pick this one up as soon as possible. And my last choice is The Deviant, which is a horror comic that is new. It's written by James Tynion and artist Josh Hickson. And oh my god, this is the perfect horror comic. I'm not even joking when I say that. Very few comics do I call perfect because there's always some that I want to see improved or a lot. And of course, this isn't done yet. I think the last issue comes out next week at the time of this recording. But I don't even give a fuck if it somehow crash lands because the first 8 issues of this comic are so fucking captivating. This was one of the only comics this year I read from chapter 1 or issue 1. And I said, oh shit, I gotta go and get the rest of the issues. I had to read the whole thing in a night. That's how much I love this. I was about 7 issues behind. So I read this all in one sitting. And I think it's fucking amazing. It's basically about a serial killer dressed up as Santa Claus. But this serial killer is the skinny, disgusting, thin bone, and looks kind of like Terrifier in a way before Terrifier became a huge thing now. And the real cool plot of this, besides just a serial killer plot, is you have this troubled young kind of interviewer that's interviewing the killer in prison, but then the killings start to happen again even though the killer's in prison. So is it really that happening? And it really dwells into sexuality, how the media perception of people, how cops' perception of people is so different back then, or even now, that it formed into prejudgment and going after the wrong person possibly. This leaves a lot of questions in your mind, a lot of what the fuck is happening, who is the killer, why. You want to know it all, and it gives you just enough answers each issue that you're satisfied but want more, and that to me is perfect. So if you're a fan of things like Longlegs or Silence of the Lambs or Seven, this fits right in there. If this isn't a movie in the next 5 years, it's a waste of fucking easy targeting movie, because this story is absolutely phenomenal in my opinion. So this is my #1 pick, simply because I could not get enough of it, and even if it crash lands the ending, this is absolutely one of the best horror comics I read in my entire life, if I'm being honest. And that is my list. You know, it's a lot of fun making this because I love horror comics. I don't get to talk about them enough. And it is Halloween season, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit more. But as you can see, I tried to pick various different styles of horror, from serial killers to demons to haunted houses to witches to serial killers. Did I say serial killers already? I don't think I did. But either way, I like to do a lot of different style horror, because horror is subjective more than almost any other genre in my opinion. What's scary to one person might not be scary to another. What's evil to somebody isn't that evil to someone. Whatever the reason is, different genres within horror, there's so many, and just as I named so many, some will be like, oh, I can't wait to read about demons, well, some other person's like, fuck demons, they're stupid, but I love serial killers. Things like that is what I love horror the most about. So that's why I want to give you kind of a list of all these different styles that I've really enjoyed over the years. And again, like I said, I made 2 other videos, so go check those out if you didn't see something that you're like, how did he not recommend? It's probably on the other list for sure. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please hit the like button. If you loved this video, hit the subscribe button. And also list some great horror comics below that you really enjoyed over the years. Maybe I haven't checked out and I would love to read this Halloween. Everyone, have a spooky season of horror.